Hi, I'm Keri Shull with the Keri Shull team and Optime Realty.
Hi, I'm Nicole Harding with the Keri Shull team and Optime Realty. I work as a listing coordinator here on the team.
And tell everybody a little bit about what your role, and your role is changing right now, so that's why we need a new listing coordinator. But as a listing coordinator, what are the most important things that you would say a listing coordinator needs to excel at?
Mostly it's being aware of every client that you're working with and exactly what process they're going through. It can be very stressful to sell a home, so the number one thing is to help alleviate that stress by helping plan all of the logistics that are involved in selling.
Okay, and when you think about someone who would do an excellent job with that, what are the most important personality traits they would need to have?
Someone who really loves working with people in every phase of life, that really excels at being able to talk someone through what they're going through, and also being very detail oriented and not missing any of the small things that are involved in it.
And very important.
Yes.
Yeah. So as an example, there's going to be home inspections and appraisals and coordinating logistics for getting a lockbox out and a sign. And if one of those details are missed, the client can completely lose confidence in us. So I agree with you, Nicole. Detail orientation is extremely important. And also genuinely caring about the client and being able to lean into their emotion. And we talked about this with the listing agent role, really not taking it personally when they're upset, because it's natural in a transaction that is this huge. You've seen people succeed in this role and fail at this role over time on the team. And how long have you been on the team?
Coming up on 3 years.
Okay. So the people who you've seen that have struggled with the position, are there any patterns or traits that you've seen that they've shared?
What I have seen in terms of allowing someone to start feeling the pressure is their own involvement with getting stressed out about it as well, and not thinking outside the box to be strategic and really help the client versus letting it get to them.
So they take things personally, and then that gets very stressful.
Very stressful and can be overwhelming because you're constantly thinking about the things that are maybe going wrong or hard, instead of thinking about how to fix the issue and find the solution.
Good point. So that brings up a thought for me. You have to let things roll off your back and stay creative. So that makes sense. And we've had a couple people who they just start getting overwhelmed really easily. And when we talk about fast pace on the team, it's extremely fast paced. So it's a challenge because you're balancing being able to handle that pace and also being able to really show the client that you care. So if it's someone's birthday, or their wedding anniversary, or they're having a baby, or we really try and celebrate the experiences that our clients are having in their life and support them and be there for them if they're changing jobs, etc. They lose a loved one. So there's a lot of sensitive things that they're getting divorced going on in a client's life that impact the way they may treat you. And you may not understand why they're having a bad day, but being able to understand it's not you, and your job is just to really show them love and support is very, very important. Okay. And talk about what the role looks like day to day. If you were to describe kind of day in the life of the listing coordinator, what are they doing? When are they coming in, etc.?
What's fun about this job is every day is a little bit different. But there are definitely things that sort of take precedence in your day. So getting to the more priority issues, things such as contract negotiations, home inspection negotiations, those should be top of the list. Following that would be agent follow-up to see how their feedback is on particular properties that you're trying to sell, and always engaging the client when it comes to what the activity is on their listing. Mm-hmm. There's also some paperwork involved, so being mindful of all the details that go into getting the house ready for the market and having proper paperwork. And then all the way to settlement, paperwork is involved there. So just making sure all those details are taking a look at.
Okay, that makes sense. Anything else you would add that would be helpful to someone who's considering joining the team?
One thing is, this job is very challenging, but it's just as rewarding as it is challenging. Being involved in someone's life when they're going through such a major change, such as selling their house, can be a really great thing if you really enjoy working with those people and knowing that you're helping them set off on their next adventure.
Absolutely. So why don't you talk a little bit about just the culture of the team in general? You've been here for a long time. What has changed? What is the expectations someone should have in joining the team?
When joining the team, it's important to know that the harder you work, the more you get out of this job or on the team. There's really a great culture, and you get to know people really well, and you really start to rely on them in terms of asking for help, gaining some experience based off of what they know. But it's also really building a family at work, and a lot of people, still stay in touch if they're not on the team, or if there's something going on in their lives now, everybody's usually involved as well. So
yes.
It's just a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of hardworking individuals.
Absolutely, yeah. So Nicole, if someone were to get this job, can you describe what their training would look like on the team?
Training is really important in understanding all of the aspects involved. So there's a lot of on-the-job training. We kind of ask that you hit the ground running, and there's some shadowing involved. There's a lot of client interaction from the get-go. There's just a lot to learn. So being really open-minded and taking everything in and then using it immediately is basically the way we train. Whereas some companies just tell you what to do and then don't help you do it. So there's a lot of people here who can help and get you up and running.
Absolutely. And at first you may be working some really long hours because you're going to be on the job, focusing on everything and trying to learn everything. And then there may be aspects, as an example, the contract. You may not be familiar with the real estate contract because a lot of the people that we hire don't have real estate experience. It matters more to us that it's the right fit for the position than that you've worked in real estate before. So you may be reading the contract at night and becoming familiar with all of the different pages and then coming back to Nicole and saying, what does it mean when there's a home escalation addendum or a home sale contingency? And so there's a lot of things like that you're going to be responsible for learning and coming back with questions. So you absolutely have to be someone who's willing to work hard. The other thing I would point out, you have to be someone who is flexible with your schedule. This is not a 9-to-5 job. If the client is having a crisis and they're locked out of their house because someone took the key, we've had people who are going over to someone to help them get checked into a hotel at midnight. So you just can't control exactly what happens. And we're looking for someone who is willing to go above and beyond, and that's okay with them. The other thing is this position has regular weekend work. So very important to be aware of that as well. So Nicole, what is the schedule that typically a listing coordinator would have?
Well, there is a lot of in-office work, so being available here in the office, but also being flexible and able to jump in your car if you need to go meet somewhere at a listing and take a tour or drop off a lockbox. Most times it's during the day that you're corresponding with clients, but since they work during the day as well, there's a lot of evening talk as well, and that rolls over into the weekends too. Our open houses are on Sunday, so it's important to be continuously communicating with them about the open house because that's a big part of selling. So being available pretty much all the time.
Yeah. And do they have days off?
There are a couple days off, so depending on what the workload looks like and where certain houses are in the process, you may end up having to jump on a call here and there if you're off, but because there's so much backup in a team, we're able to kind of manage that as well. So it's not a constant working day on your off day.
Yeah, so you do have 2 days off a week, but those days will not both be weekends. They'll be one day during the week, one weekend day. So it's important to have that kind of flexibility. So with a lot of challenges and a lot of fun parts of the job, what's the path for someone who would want to grow in the company that starts off as a listing coordinator?
Well, as a listing coordinator, one big thing is to go ahead and get your real estate license, because at some point, once you're comfortable and up and running, you're going to start negotiating contracts. So when you're able to negotiate contracts and win, you start gaining experience, and then ultimately could move into a listing agent position.
Yeah, or could start working with buyers, or could end up, as Nicole's doing, moving into more of a management path and overseeing a lot of our other operations and sales. So I think one of the benefits of this position is you're coming into the real estate field, and you can be coming in with no experience, learning everything about it, and really taking on a lot of responsibility very quickly and a lot of client interaction, and there's a ton of growth there. So if you're someone that really values being around people and getting experience and having a kind of career path that could change based on your personal expectations and what you want to do, this is definitely a good company to do that. We are opening more offices in the future, so there's going to continually be positions available and opportunities to succeed. So anything else you would add about the listing coordinator position?
It's a really exciting role, and once you get up and running, you really enjoy what you're doing. You do wear a lot of different hats, but sometimes that's super fun.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Nicole.
You're welcome.
If you're looking to apply, please send us your resume, and there's instructions below.